there's certain parables that all the gospels share. And so you'll see it in Mark, you'll see it in Matthew, but it's the parable of the seeds. And the seeds represent the truth of the word. And
Mm.
where the seeds fall on certain types of soil, so you get 4 types of soil, where the seeds fall kind of dictates people's receptiveness of the truth. And so I think there was probably a time in your life where somebody was pouring truth seeds into your life, but it wasn't until you softened. So the end of the parable is that it falls on good soil, which is soft soil, and it kind of sinks in, right? And so I think you have to go around the mountain. In fact, I think there's a lot of people who call themselves Christians because they sort of just done all of the actions of Christianity, but they've never had to do the journey of it. And so a lot of them they lack in empathy. They don't understand. I think they probably don't really pray very often. It's a lot of stuff that like you have to go through the journey to believe in the truth of it. So like your salvation is authentic because you didn't just you're not doing the motions of it. You studied, you experienced different things, and then you came back to the truth. God's just there's no story that he's not happy about, including the guy on the cross next to him. Like, that story is just as prominent as the person who grew up and spent 25 years being a solid Christian. He's just happy that
Mm.
you've recognized truth in him.
I love it. It feels so good. And I like that you said the softening too of the soil. That's a
Mm.
beautiful metaphor and rings true for me. Also, I really did have a hardened heart for a long time.
Mhm.
And I had met really poor representatives of Christ, early on. And I had people that, inevitably people like let us down. Nobody's perfect, right? But at a young age, I learned that I couldn't trust people around me, and I learned not to trust anyone. And then I became like the kind of fixer in my family, like the caretaker. And we have a loving but big dysfunctional family, like most families.
Mm.
We have addiction in my family, and I kind of became the one that was like, I have to do everything, I have to do it alone, everything's like, it's up to me or it falls apart. And which is like not true, first of all, but that's how I felt. And that was like so isolating. And then, I think I put up so many walls around my heart to not be wounded anymore. But it keeps out love and light and goodness too when you do that. So it's like I was just walking around with like so much loneliness, resentment, bitterness, sadness, and hopelessness. And I remember in my young 20s, I remember just having this moment where I like just fell to the ground on my knees, and I was just begging God to like reparent me, like just crying, like, when you're disgusting, like snot, like choking,
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
ah. It was one of those, like, please help.
Yeah.
I can't do this. Don't know what
Desperate.
to do. Yeah. And I feel like God did send mentors into my life. And at that time, it was beautiful. And every, step now was like leading me closer. And then when I moved to Florida, 2 months after that, COVID hit, and I was like, I didn't
You're
know
like, "Thanks."
anyone. I didn't know. Perfect. Thanks. What is going on here? This is crazy. And I had already had so much chaos at that time. Um, but anyways, then I started going to the church by my house, and they have a big, beautiful choir, and the choir, I now sing in it, but
I love
here,
that. I saw yeah.
oh, well, hearing these songs, so I'm in the back, I just start sobbing like a loon. I was like, in the back, I'm just like, just like a weirdo. And I realized like, it felt like my heart had just fully like
Mm.
released all the stuff that I'd been holding on to. And it felt like the light could finally like penetrate where it needed to go,
Yeah.
and just filled me up. And I was like, you mean this is free? Like, you guys
It's
get,
freedom.
does anyone know? I mean, you can just come in
Yeah.
here and feel this way every week. And it's like, have you told anyone about that?
And I feel that way too, where you're like trying to communicate to somebody like, we don't want people to get stuck on the aha moments, but sometimes the aha moments, it's like it can happen anywhere. And my encouragement to people is just to lean into it, right?